First of all, we have a very specific way to represent time, not with a dial that you would see on any normal watch, meaning it's a kind of plate that is beautifully decorated, but it's not a technical thing. With the Ressence, the dial is actually a technical part. It seems very simple, it's curved, but it seems very simple on the outside, but when you turn it around, it's going to be very complicated. It's actually like a bridge in a watch. And so it's a technical part. So the ideas that we have are always inspired by a context, by a demand, by a customer that would like to buy a watch in this type of with this background. And so this project is typically a very interesting one because we apply actually cultural heritage. We apply geographical things, and we also use ingredients that are related to time, counting the time. So all these things come together in that watch, and also on the dial, of course. So for us, very interesting project. So industrial design is a very important ingredient for the brand, and the reason is that as an industrial designer, you look at product development in a very different way than a watchmaker would do. A watchmaker is very much trained as an engineer, and so will very often put a lot of emphasis on the movement, on the technicity, and showing the technicity and the beauty of the movement, whereas an industrial designer will mainly focus on the person that wears the watch and will try to develop a product that is really built around the person, not around the movement, but around the person that is using the product. So that is really defining why Ressence watches look very different. So our watches are produced and assembled in Switzerland. Even though we are a Belgian company, we have subcontractors in Switzerland that most brands work with. And so they produce the parts. They also assemble the watches. They deliver the watches to us in Antwerp, in Belgium. And from there, we do another quality control of the watches, and then we ship them out. What we do in Belgium is that we do the after sales of watches. So for example, if you have a technical issue with your watch, we would do that in Belgium. But the watches are really produced like 99.99% in Switzerland. The only part we don't make in Switzerland actually is the bracelet that we make in Italy. The most simple watch that we have is called Type 9 or Type 8. They are only showing hours and minutes. And these watches already have 188 components. If you would compare it to another mechanical watch with 3 hands, like hour, minutes, and seconds, these watches turn around 100 components. So our most simple watch is already twice the amount of components than I would say a traditional mechanical watch. So only from that standpoint, a Ressence watch is complicated. But not only. Another dimension is the fact that our watches are 3-dimensional. Most watches are 2-dimensional. They have different layers, and all the axles are parallel to each other. It's a bit technical. But if you make a curved dial, it means that all the axles cannot stay straight. They have to be perpendicular to the curvature. And so you have a truly 3-dimensional system. So the whole mechanism is 3-dimensional inside the watch, what makes it a lot more complicated to produce. And it's all in titanium. The idea is really to say, if you put oil in the dial or in the watch, the graphics of the dial will become a lot more contrasted. And secondly, you will have a graphical effect as if the information is projected on the outside of the sapphire glass. And this combination of these two things will give you an impression that the watch merely looks digital. So it's really coming from there. So then how do you come to that idea? I believe that for me it comes from the fact that as a kid I did a lot of sailing with my parents, and very often at night when we had to do long shifts, I had to be at the steering wheel of the boat, the sailing boat, and at night you see nothing in the middle of the sea. It's totally dark. So the only thing I had was the compass, because at that time in the 80s there was no GPS on sailing boats. So the only way to know where you were going is to follow the compass. And so it's something, I think it was burned in my eyes, the idea of a ball of glass filled with something technical that's moving, and that's the compass, but then it was completely on the outside, and that was thanks to the fact there was oil inside. So I think the idea comes from there. It was a very nice experience that I could, with this concept of Ressence, I could show people that there was another way to show time without changing the logics of reading the time. And that was a wonderful experience for many, that suddenly they saw something that wasn't there, that did not exist, but that made total sense. So this combination of having actually what we call our watches, the dial of our watches, we call it a mechanical screen, because it's as flat as a screen, but it's dynamic like a screen, but it's mechanical. So this combination, we sometimes refer to words on paper, so really to say all the information is in one surface. But yes, as it is a watch, it changes, of course, and so you have to have a mechanism that does it behind. I'm actually quite good. The Middle East, on average, buys more watches than other parts of the world, because they're not as many people in comparison with the number of watches that we sell. So if you look at it from that point of view, yes, Middle East is a good market for us. It's a very good partnership. It's a very qualitative partnership, and when you look at صديقي, they have such an involvement and a commitment to watchmaking, and in particular to independent watchmaking. When you see what they do, for example, the Dubai Watch Week, these are real investments they do. It costs them money to do these shows. And why do they do it? Of course, to sell more watches indirectly, but mainly what you see is that people go there for free, and they discover new things. They discover that watchmaking is more than the well-known major brands, that there is something behind. There's a whole scene that you don't see, especially because we don't have the budgets like these huge brands to talk about ourselves all the time. So صديقي is a very engaged and developing partner. Watchmaking culture is considered, and I believe that we are very lucky to be part of that movement actually with صديقي. Dubai Watch Week is a very interesting concept, because it's a show organized by a retailer, already very rare. Then it is done at the scale and at the quality that no one does. really trying to develop the culture of watchmaking and share the diversity of the culture of watchmaking. And of course we are part of that, but all my colleagues are there with other visions and other very interesting ways to do an interpretation of how to show the time. So participating to Dubai Watch Week is for us a very logical thing, because it's a very qualitative way to talk about what we do and share what we do to a broader public. We will participate in 25, so I all invite you to come and see us on the booth. And I don't know the number and the place yet, but of course you're welcome. We have done, as I said in the beginning, we have done a project for the 75th anniversary of صديقي. It's a very special watch, even though many people think they make special watches, but in this case it's literally special because it has a dial that is, can I say it, filled with sand inside. So it's a very unique watch. What is interesting about it is, of course, that this sand is covering the dial. The sand is a mixture, a blend of all the 7 Emirates. So it's also a watch that represents a kind of unity of all these Emirates together on one dial. So what we did, basically, we collected sand from the seven Emirates. So we went into the desert physically, filled the pot with sand, measured it at the same proportions, and then mixed it, make it one blend that we then use to apply on the dial of a Type 9. So it's the Type 9 S75. So it's really a watch designed for the 75th anniversary. And why sand? Of course, it's something you have a lot here in the Middle East. But also sand is, of course, something that we all know from the hourglass that was filled with sand. So sand is also somewhere an ingredient that was used to tell time, to count the time, the passage of time. So applying this again on a dial that is turning around, so the sand is moving, not vertically, but horizontally. It's in a rotational movement. And what is also nice to highlight is the fact that we used the Type 9 as the carrier of that project. And the Type 9, the dial of the Type 9 is a curved surface. It has a dial that is actually the radius of a tennis ball. And so this sand is really covering really the whole dial. And so you get actually kind of a pile of sand that is rotating in the watch.